Okay, so at this point I'll just do a little bit of exposition because um, I prefer my evidence without narrative, because narrative is just narrative, but um, I can just connect a few dots there because things were said to me that I don't have, that weren't recorded, and that I don't, yeah, basically I have to tell rather than show. So the neighbour who took that footage for me, I had taken into my confidence about what had been happening to me. And I'm not going to say why, but she was someone that I knew would not be one of the throng who tells me, who just tells me that what is happening to me is not happening to me. It is happening to me. It's fucking happening to me, and it happens to a lot of people. And so, for once in my life, I every now and then I make a judgment call that turns out to be correct. In that instance, and I had showed her footage that I'd taken previously of being harassed at my previous emergency housing accommodation. And so there were three reasons I left that place, and it was in Papanui, and one of those reasons was police harassment. And I was being so badly harassed there and at other places, including being totally arrested off the record, once when I was actually just at the Papanui police station to update my own report, that I had to leave there. But the judge at my case review hearing, one of my gazillions of case review hearings, assumed that I was getting bail checks. I don't get bail checks, you see. But they were doing their own bail checks. And they weren't bail checks. They were harassment. So the harassment would take various forms. Largely it was stuff like welfare checks, which is just the easiest thing in the world to pass off as, goodwill. But as my mother had put to one of them, and this is a different story, but this is a guy called Sene Fidel, and I've got his badge number, who rang me while I was living at Lilo in October and November, who rang me, and I don't, my mother did not tell them where I was. There is no call for police to know where I live. It's not on my bail form. I'm not bailed to any address. I'm not bailed at large, but I'm not bailed to any particular address because police have made me homeless, basically. And so I move around a lot, and at that time I was at Lilo. And just for an example of the kind of harassment I was getting, I mean, there are so many different forms of it. There are so many different forms. And all of them have what I suppose police would imagine would be plausible deniability. But when you take it as a big picture, there's nothing plausible about it. I've told police over and over and over and over again, I've even gotten writing from police saying that they won't visit my home again unless there's, implicitly, they didn't say this, but implicitly, unless there's police business. And police business does not mean fake police business, like those two fake arrests that they tried to disappear on the 14th. And, well, it was mid-August and then mid-September that information. I don't know if information was hiding something on behalf of police officers, or if they genuinely just didn't have that record because of the freelance nature of these visits. But I was just being harassed in all these different ways that, yeah, maybe case by case could have some plausible deniability, but overall they just don't. You have a big picture of police harassment and intimidation, and that is a breach of a criminal law called badgering a witness. And a witness in this case is defined as anyone who is giving or is going to be giving evidence in a criminal trial, and that includes me as a defendant. I'm going to be giving evidence, so it includes me. When you read legislation, there's a lot more to it than you might think, and yeah, there's a lot more to it than you might think, and you need to read the interpretations section. Interpretations gives you, is kind of like a dictionary of terms, and then each section will sometimes use the particular term in a slightly different way, and then it will say in the, well, I think it actually says in the interpretation section, I think it will say, well, at least it will indicate if there's a section that defaults from the normal. They'll say, you know, sometimes in this case it means, oh, common property in this case means this, or something like that. So in this case I am a witness, and you're not allowed to badger witnesses. Oh, they call it corrupting witnesses, and corrupting, as I've explained before, doesn't mean bribing or anything. It just means trying to influence them in influence them away from sharing the truth, you know, so that can include intimidating them. It's not just motivating them positively, trying to find a chink in their morality. It's actually just intimidation, and I'm not really intimidatable anymore because I've just become so inured to it. So, sine fidel. And the thing is, like, I don't know that these people are, put it this way, police is one of the three main professions, and I use professions in the generic sense. In New Zealand, I don't know about other countries, but I assume it's the same in other Western countries, that has got extremely bad internal bullying. The other two are nursing and the practice of law. And that's really bad, because what that shows is, well, of course it's bad because bullying is a horrible, horrible thing to experience in the workplace. But as these are public servants, well, lawyers aren't, but police and nurses tend to be, and police especially, these are public servants. So it's not that I'm not focused on victims of bullying in the workplace, but what I'm showing is if there's a lot of bullying internally, it makes no sense whatsoever to think that that bullying is staying internal and is not being put outwards to the public, okay? Because people who bully are displaying a personality type, and that personality type is one of cruelty and dishonesty, and they're just shitty people. People who bully other people are just shitty people, and they're indiscriminate in their targets, because it's not about the individual person, it's about expressing the evil in their character, right? So we know of police that there's a lot of internal bullying, and I know enough about how bullying, and it's actually mobbing, so mob bullying, and it doesn't mean it's simultaneous mobbing like a mob that comes and surrounds you. It's a mob that is just a constant wall that protects the ringleader, basically. You know, it's basically closing ranks against somebody, and that's happened to me. And there are different degrees of culpability in people involved in that mob bullying. And in some cases, the culpability is almost non-existent because they are genuinely of the belief that they are after the bad guy. And they're often told that the person, the victim that they're helping to traumatise is actually a bad person. So I don't know about Sine Fidel, I don't know, but he rang me. I didn't tell him where I lived, and he rang my mother. My mother didn't tell him where I lived because there was no legal purpose for it. But he thought, or he purported to think, that I was a Caitlin McDonald who was involved in. This is highly relevant to what happened here. It's a very, very similar thing that happened here in this video, in the videos you've just seen. I'd left Papanui Court Motel, but they thought I was still there. I don't need to tell the police when I leave. It's not part of my bail. I don't even know some days where I'm going to sleep, you know. And he purported or was of the belief that I was a Caitlin McDonald who was involved in domestic, family violence with, and he didn't say perp or, you know, he didn't say I was the offender or the victim or what, but that I was involved in some family violence in a mother-daughter scenario. I don't know if I was supposed to be the mother or the daughter, but the daughter, he said, was 25. I'm old enough to have a 25-year-old daughter, but I don't have one. And I don't know if I was. It was not said which was the one who was supposedly my namesake. Anyway, at Papanui Court Motel, I was in Unit 2. But at the end of the conversation, it turned out that the altercations were occurring in Unit 10. And this seemed superficially plausible to me that it was just a mistake, but my jury was out on it. And a very, very, very similar thing happened here. It's not the detail, the tactic is different, but the strategy is exactly the same. So what happened is, and you can see from the two short pieces of footage that I've put together, because it was a bit stop and start, I was sort of doing my best to get footage without the person, and there was someone else there talking, because I didn't want to expose more of them than I needed to, and I was just saying, look, let's just don't narrate, let's just watch. But I did keep in the bit where she says, the reason that I was filming up towards your room was that I wanted to show where they had been, because she hadn't got her camera out quickly enough to show. So what had happened was, this is what she had said to me, was that the cops turned up, they had parked where they parked, and they were going up the stairs to my room. Now, they're up to my room, and she showed my balcony, but just on the stairs going up there, and a sort of an internal, external kind of stairwell, and on the other side there's another building, another apartment block, I suppose mirrors mine. So, you know, she wasn't, just closing my doors, it's a bit cold, she wasn't positive at that stage that they were going to my room. But she believed they were, and she turned out to be correct. Now, I had previously showed her footage of police harassment at Papanui Court Motel, and she was of the opinion that that blonde female cop with a ponytail was one of the ones who had been harassing me, including falsely arresting me, like really badly falsely arresting me and falsely charging me and stuff. Like, these are criminal acts. At Papanui. I had a look at the footage. I don't think it's the same person, but she thought it was. Now, at the time, I'm trying to do this a little bit chronologically. At the time, I was, and then when they found me not there, they had gone and back and sat in the police car, and they were just sitting there. Not doing anything, just sitting, clearly waiting for my return. And I, at the time, was out. I was out getting a lift from another person known to both of us, who was kindly giving me a lift to my storage unit where I could drop off some things, because I'm in emergency housing and I've been dragging my crap around for a really long time, partly crap that I had received some back from a theft that police refused to investigate, very, very dodgily, and it refused to investigate, but I'd got some of my stuff back, and I got it back in a really inconvenient place because I had no fucking home. And so it's been quite a process moving things out of my temporary accommodation into this purpose-built storage. Not purpose-built, for God's sake. Who do I think I am? Purpose-rented storage units that I could use as an extension of my home, because you can't store everything you need to live in a motel, especially. And I've got my PTSD is partly because of threats of homelessness, and I have nightmares about having too much stuff to carry away, which is very, very, very true. Like, yeah, so I was getting help. I had this common acquaintance. For me, it was an acquaintance. For the other, for the person who filmed, it was someone close to her, who was giving a lift with my stuff. So she gets a call from the person who did the filming saying the cops are here for Caitlin, and she explained that they were going up to my house and then coming back down and just waiting in the car, and she had started filming, but she had to fumble to film, and she had missed them coming up and down my stairs. I said, has Liu, who was the motel manager, I said, have they talked to Liu? And she said no. And you can see that I texted Liu, who's the manager, and I said, I mean, a lot of people don't know about the Privacy Act, but I just said, obviously I said to Liu, you have my permission to go and ask them their business with me. And then, as I said, if it's a welfare check, tell them to go away, because that's not, there is no legal obligation on me to receive a welfare check, and I'm just sick of it. So Liu did not reply to me, but you could see that he had gone and approached the officer, and they were having quite an animated conversation, it looked like. Now, what I'd been told over the phone, what we'd been told over the phone was what the filmer had understood from what she could hear, was that the officer told the manager of the motel that she had the wrong address, and then presumably there was an entire unit, so then they drive off. Oh, right, we've got the wrong place. But it turned out actually that wasn't the case. It turned out that they were looking for someone else who used to live in my apartment, so it was my apartment. Now, while we were out, and we really went on our way back. I don't even know if we were on our way back home then anyway, but I rang 111, and I said, excuse me, there, and I didn't record the call, I was not in a position to in the car, but I could get that call, because I know what time it was, I have a call log. So I rang 111, and I said, there is a unit dispatched to my address, and they appear to want something from me, but I'm not sure what it is. I've just been alerted by a neighbour. Can you please tell me what they're there for? And the dispatcher was perfectly pleasant and cooperative and went away and said they can't see any record of anyone dispatched to that address. So, of course, when I asked for a police file number, how can you have a file number for something that doesn't exist according to police, right? So, so that was a freelance job. Was it freelance or, well, I call them freelance, but, you know, like, I don't know if these cops are on retainer or if they just do odd jobs for a bit of pocket money. I don't know what it is. But yeah, they did not have the wrong address. They were looking for someone who, oh, right, no, that's someone else. And it's like, yeah, police know what emergency housing is. They know it's not they know they're not permanent or even long-term addresses. You know, I mean, whatever, I'm not going to speculate, but anyway, they took off pretty quickly, but they had been sitting in the driveway for quite a long time until Liu had gone out and asked them their business. And from what I could see from the clip, it didn't look like a hostile interaction, but it didn't look entirely friendly either. And the thing is that emergency housing motel owners deal with enough shit here without having cops come in and doing their own, you know, little spooky, little secretive little jobs. It actually is just a bad look for the place. And that's one of the reasons I left Papanui Court Motel, like having cops constantly in and out. It just brings an element of insecurity, sometimes fear. And it's not necessarily that everyone here has been traumatised by police. The police are notorious for traumatising people, whether deliberately or mistakenly by arresting the wrong person. But it also, quite often people are here because they've, you know, got protection orders or police orders against an ex-partner, maybe a baby mum, a baby daddy or whatever. And having police here just makes us feel unsafe. And that was, as I said, one of the 3 reasons that I had when I left my emergency housing in Papanui Court Motel. And the limit, the absolute fucking limit for me, was when, as I've said in previous videos, a police unit was deployed to deliver civil papers to me for some fucking assholes that I didn't even bother to respond to. But police had furnished them with enough lies that they could take it to the civil court. And, I mean, police had authorised something they could take to the courts, a total lie that said that I had threatened to decapitate somebody. So I was going through so much at that time, and I just could not be fucking fucked. This is the person who stole that stuff from me that I'm still having to take to storage. I've retrieved some of it back, but not my identity, you see. And so, having had police already by that point say they're not going to turn up implicitly for anything that isn't police business, it is not police business to deliver civil documents, to serve civil documents. It's something that police can do, but it's not something that police have to do. It's not in the Policing Act. And to me, that's just, again, in the instance, there's plausible deniability if you just isolate. You can dismiss each isolated event away. You can just dismiss it away by just going on the side of probability, giving it the benefit of the doubt. But you can't give the benefit of the doubt for over and over and over and over and over and over and over. That's not how probability works anyway, and humans don't work on probability, we work on free will. So what you see overall as this picture is police finding any reason that isn't in the Policing Act but still can be brushed off as some sort of community service to come and fucking harass me, even though they know that when they turn up, even to do a welfare check, they are making my welfare worse, as I've proven with, the PTSD stuff. Now, I don't know what the fuck this blonde chick was here to see me for. I don't know, but it wasn't police business. Because if it was, there would be a file number for it, and that goes for a welfare check as well. So that was on the 1st of March, and I think that Mackley and the other two, it's kind of weird having 3. I'm not very experienced with this, but I don't think I've ever had 3 officers before. I've had 6, but that's divisible by 2, and 2's in a unit, so I don't know. Yeah, and I'm wondering if when I rang 10.5 to get those badge numbers that I have, and I recorded that phone call and I've got that below, I'm wondering if the delay, because there was a bit of delay getting back to me, I'm wondering if they quickly scribbled up a place, like a case file number. I really do. I wonder if they quickly scribbled one up, because that's a really bad look. It's a really bad look there, to send that conflict of interest. That's crazy. Anyway, I have had police welfare checks since. I have not shown all of them. The only legitimate one was when one of the times I tried to kill myself, and I'm not an attention seeker whatsoever. What I am is a whistleblower, and I'm an exposer, so I put this stuff on YouTube, and most of it is official information or my private information, and people can go, oh my god, you can't expose criminals and they're committing crimes against you, that's their personal information. No, it's not, it's my personal information. And also crimes aren't subject to the Privacy Act, even if it is their personal information. Like, if their personal information includes committing crimes against me, I'm sorry, that doesn't work. And it also goes to the Harmful Digital Communications Act as well. So that's the 3rd charge that I'm up against. Supposedly I committed an offence under Section 22 of the Harmful Digital Communications Act. I was going for a charge of threat to harm, which has a maximum sentence of 10 years, because I knew that I had to get arrested, and I knew that I had to get a charge that was going to be big enough that I can elect a jury trial. Not elect a jury trial rather than a judge-alone trial. So I thought I'd go for the big guns, but police it's very suspicious to me that they went for a 3-year max prison sentence under the Harmful Digital Communications Act. Yeah, you can kind of massage it into that, but what the most plausible thing, if you're going to charge me, and the first lawyer I had, he said, well, you worded that, you crafted the wording of what you sent to the, the complainant. You crafted the wording very carefully, didn't you? And I said, yeah, that's what a bottle of Shiraz will do for you. But I did read it very carefully. And it wasn't actually a threat, but it would be plausible to try me under that. But to call it a harmful digital communication is really not in the spirit of the HDCA, even though you can make it technically fit. But, we lose the concept of the spirit of the law, we really do. The less competent judges get, the less they understand that the spirit of the law, it's almost like playing dumb in a way. And a lot of it's like just, I don't know what's going on. Whatever, it's enough for me to have a jury and to expose what's been going on. But I now know, of course, that police made that charge because under that charge it gave them a very thinly veiled excuses to seize my phone under the Search and Surveillance Act, which is so thinly veiled because it's like the communication that I made was so blatantly, it was such a pantomime. It's like there was nothing secret squirrels. I fucking just put a slab of fucking meat in front of a fucking Tyrannosaurus Rex. Like, that is how subtle it is. That's how subtle my offence was. That's what I did. I put a big slab of meat in front of the fucking cops. And I said, come and get it. And then they think they're going to take my phone. And the thing is that what they will have found on my phone, they had it for 5 weeks. So Hicks, if you watch this, I want you to realise that I'm going to be asking for I've already asked for full disclosure from Bonnie. I said, during the course of that 5 weeks, you will have seen all of the crimes that your pet Crim had committed against me, the one that you're defending. Why have you not disclosed that? I've asked for full disclosure. Why haven't you disclosed everything you found on my phone? Why haven't you disclosed the fact that I wrote to my lawyer, I've poked the bear really hard, I think I'm going to get arrested again soon? That totally disproves intent. It proves the intent, as I've said, to get these crooks under the criminal spotlight, even if I have to do it as a defendant because the police wouldn't fucking take any criminal complaints from me against her. And now I know why. So, let's do this. Don't chicken out again. And don't send any more thugs, because you are putting my life at risk. And it's not just my life, because that blood pressure can give me a stroke. Now, I've tried to commit suicide 7 times now. And it's hard to kill somebody, as I've discovered. I've never been totally sure about what I'm doing. It is a bit trial and error, but I am amazed that I haven't died yet, or that I even appear to have done lasting damage. I don't know how the fuck I've done that, but it appears to be very hard to kill somebody. And I'm squeamish, but I've done a lot of stuff, and with great intent. And I've tried to kill myself because of your client, and she knows it, and that just spurred her on. And you can see all of that, Bonnie, Victoria, in what you got from my phone. So I'm going to be asking some really tricky questions in front of the jury. And I don't even have to cross-examine. I just need to ask you some straight fucking questions. So let's see what happens. Now, I was not... When Judge Couch asked me, police prosecution have sought leave to withdraw the first 2 charges. And he said, what do you think of that, to me? And I suppose he would have expected me to go, oh, thank God, thank you, Your Honour, because, you know, it was up to him to give permission or not for them to be withdrawn. He got pretty fucking shitty with me when I said, well, actually, I have mixed feelings about it. I wish I could get off that easily by just withdrawing charges, because that's what Victoria Hicks has done. She's just withdrawn the charges because she doesn't want what I've shown all of you to be shown in front of the judge. It's completely damning. Like, it's completely damning. And I've shown so much more. I've put so much more. I've disclosed so fucking much. I've done full disclosure to police prosecution, even though I don't have to, because that's where my power is. Truth, evidence of the truth. And on that day, or was it the 12th, when the trial that was supposed to be a trial but wasn't a trial because it got adjourned without anyone telling me, but I tuned up anyway from hospital, where I spent 3 nights after my suicide attempt, but I had to discharge myself to go to fucking court because the cops who kicked my door and didn't fucking bother to tell any, you know, it's not their job to go and tell court that Caitlin's in hospital, so I had to fucking drag myself to court where I collapsed on the courtroom floor, so I didn't get a warrant for my arrest. See how fucked up this is? This is not justice. And that's when I found out it wasn't a trial. I don't know what the fuck it was. So that wasn't that one, but it was the other one. And see, there was no minute, and there was no recording, and it's very, very dodgy. And in that case, Victoria Hicks said that all I had done was just sent a lot of third-party testimony. I've sent no third-party testimony. I don't have any third-party testimony. The only third-party testimony I have is from the criminals. And their testimony is lies.